My name's Anthony Heath and I live at Shepley, which is not far from the birthplace of this David Brown tractor. It's a 990. I've owned it for 11 or 12 years now. I bought it in Blackburn in Lancashire. It's had just cosmetic work really. New timing gears though, new tyres, a bit of paint over the years. Still needs an oil leak fixing on the rear reduction. But my history with David Brown goes back a couple of generations. My granddad, who was a Londoner, he came up to work for Leyland Motors in Lancashire, and they sent him to inspect gearboxes at David Brown Gears at Parkworks at Lockwood. While he was there, David Brown Gears poached him, and he then worked for David Brown Gears. Now my father left school and did his apprenticeship at David Brown Gears, and after his apprenticeship he went up to tractors and worked in the jig and tool drawing office. When I left school, I also went to tractors and served a technician apprenticeship there from 1975 to 1979. I then got my final job as a field test technical assistant at Scarbottom. Right, so I got the tractor in 1999, and then some of the jobs that I've done to it, I've replaced a bearing in the rear reduction because one of the bearings had collapsed there. We've had an oil leak from the left-hand reduction more than once, and that needs doing again. The cab has had the cladding fitted. I found various bits of cladding in different places. The engine has had new timing gears because one of the gears had lost a tooth. The locating screw on the rocker shaft had come adrift, and luckily hadn't fallen down a pushrod tube into the engine. It was just laid on the top of the cylinder head, and I was able to replace it and then peen it into place. So it's had new tyres all round, new track rod ends. The grille was missing, so I found a new grille for it. It had no headlights. Now these headlights are a bit unusual. They're not usually on a 990 of this age. They're a later headlight, probably fitted in Europe. I don't actually know the history of the tractor, but I think it probably spent its early working life on an arable farm, because there's wear in the rear linkage showing that it may have been using heavy ploughs or implements, and the trunnion on the steering is well greased and there's no wear in it, whereas because arable farmers tend to look after the tractor more and grease it on a regular basis. There is a little wear in the left hand kingpin which may need some attention in the future, but it doesn't affect the steering at all at the moment. When it came, it had a dynamo, but I've changed that to an alternator for the simple reason that it gets charged back into the battery quicker, and then you have a better chance of starting it when you need to. It's not really out of the way to put an alternator on this tractor, because it was a service option to change the dynamo into an alternator, because there was a sheet designating the work that you needed to do with the wiring to be able to do this quickly and simply, and the alternator went straight on without any problems at all. The wiring on the tractor, it's a little bit old. You tend to find you get everything working, and within a week one of the indicators isn't working, or just at the moment none of the headlights or the main beam doesn't work, but they did a few weeks ago. So these are all little things that seem to happen when the wiring gets to this age, because it's 40 years old or so now. Well, the latest acquisition is this loader. I purchased it last September, and it's taken me till now, March, for it to be fully operational. I've been too busy to do anything with it. It's a slightly newer loader than the tractor. It's got the David Brown case decals, and the colour scheme is power red, as opposed to the tractor, which was one of the last true David Browns with the chocolate castings. Well, the loader had been previously fitted with a grab, so it's got a third double acting valve in the valve block, but I've not got that bucket. They've kept that and put it on a John Deere. Over the years the PTO clutch had bound up and wasn't operational anymore, so before fitting the loader I decided it was time to split the tractor and get that cleaned out. My son-in-law Ed Smith and myself did this one Saturday evening between 5 o'clock and 8 o'clock, which I thought was pretty good considering we hadn't done it before. We cleaned out all the dust and reassembled the tractor, and everything has worked fine on the clutch ever since. And then we were able to fit the loader, because we obviously now don't need to split the tractor in the near future. Fitted to the rear of the tractor at this moment is a small forklift attachment, which is just at the moment acting as a counterbalance for the loader. Not long after getting the tractor, I put it straight to work rotor spreading, just to test out whether there was any major faults with the tractor. Since then it's done various haulage jobs, hay and straw and stone. It's also done some ploughing. I've purchased a 4-furrow Cavernland plough which dates back from the 70s, and it handles that nicely with some front end weights on. It's also done some power harrowing with a chopped down power harrow. It's been cut down to 2 meters. It really works hard with that. You have to have it in the low slow gears. It's also done rotavating and various other little bits of jobs.